Hey guys, we're here with another episode of The Link Up. Today we're going to be talking with Andy Duffin and a bit about his RX7. But first, let's take a look at this beast driving up Rod Millen's driveway at Leadfoot Festival. What a great event Leadfoot Festival is. Do you want to tell us a bit about what it's like to drive your car up that driveway?
Well, first of all, it's the sketchiest thing that we do in motorsport. You know, it's a fun event and it's an amazing thing to do, but it is 1.6 Ks of absolute hell. You know, in a circuit car like mine, you can't see, it's not geared for that stuff, so it's actually incredibly scary. But we love it. You know, it's such a cool event to be part of. He does an amazing job, him and Shelley, and to be part of that event is so cool.
Yeah, I did wonder about the vision thing. Like you say, it doesn't look like you can see much from being so low down. I guess it's a good thing the driveway goes up. No, that makes it worse.
No, there's a whole bunch of stuff there that make it really hard. So, but you know, you do the course and you build up to the weekend and you get faster and faster as you go along, and you just end up enjoying it. It's an amazing experience.
Awesome. And how does driving the car there compare to driving on a circuit? Obviously you have a lot of experience with circuit racing and time attack. What's like the key differences?
The key difference, I guess, is the undulation and the shortness of it. So obviously circuit racing, it's set up to be smooth and you're on a consistent surface, but at Leadfoot there's jumps and there's hay bales and there's grass corners to cut and all that stuff that it's not a rally car, so it's not something you're set up for. So we take it as a purely fun event and go out to enjoy ourselves and put on a bit of a show.
Yeah, you certainly put on a show for the fans. They absolutely love it. Do you want to tell us, let's go back a little bit and tell us about the car, your RX7, and how you got it, what condition you bought it in, how long ago, and what you've done to it since.
Yes, I think we've owned this car for about 10 years now. It started out as an imported standard car that was unregisterable for New Zealand roads. So it was a complete driving car, and we pulled it apart and built it with a class called SS2000 specifically in mind, so a 2-litre, pretty much open class. We successfully competed in that, but I'd always wanted to put a 20B in the car. So, we went through that process with Green Brothers, and it's turned into be an amazing product. So I really enjoyed it. The 20B just sounds fantastic. I think it's an amazing sounding engine, and it's pretty much all been home built. We've added bits and pieces along the way for different events like time attack or GT racing, so it's evolved a long way from what was a standard street car.
We know Green Brothers have done a lot of work on the engine. Have you done much of it yourself, or do you sort of leave that engine work to them?
No, they definitely don't let me do a lot, and probably for good reason. No, the boys are amazing and are very clever at what they do, so best to leave it in their hands. I'm sort of mechanically minded, but when it comes to that sort of stuff, I mean, definitely leave it in their hands. Yeah,
totally fair enough. And we know Green Brothers do the tuning as well. It runs a Link G4 Plus Thunder. What do you know about the ECU in the car and what it controls, I guess?
Well, I guess the biggest thing for us has been the data logging. So we can keep an eye on absolutely every component in the car. So it's crucial for what we're doing is logging all those temperatures and pressures and all that stuff to keep that engine alive. It's such an expensive bit of gear to replace or repair, and the boys have obviously wound as much horsepower out of that thing as they can get. And the tuning is really key, because you want to make as much power as you can, but you want to keep it safe. So that engine's been in the car for 7 years now, 6 years. It's had a couple of freshen ups, but it's the same engine. So it's a testament to their skill and their tuning and the Link's ability to keep that all, singing along nicely.
That's pretty incredible. I was going to ask if you've had any major issues over the years, but to have run the same triple rotor for 7 years, that's pretty incredible. What does it rev to?
We rev it to 10. So on the dyno, we've seen a little bit more than that, and it is still making power up there. So for the Endurance series, we knocked it back a little bit. Just to see if it was how it was going to behave, because obviously running the thing for an hour flat out was was an unknown. And after we did the first one, we actually wound the RPM straight back up again, because it was happy as the temperatures were good, everything was under control. So we just wound it back up to 10,000, and that's what it sits at all day for an hour.
That is awesome, and I'm assuming most of our listeners are going to know your efforts last year racing in that North Island Endurance Series in New Zealand, because you do have a pretty good following and a very avid following. But do you want to tell us a bit about the events that you have done with the car over the years? I know you've done a bit of time attack as well.
Yeah, so once we did the SS2000 thing, we built it into a GT car, so for New Zealand GT, initially as a GD2 car, and then we got invited to go to Australia to run in time attack. So you see all the aero and stuff went on the car to try and help it get through that one fast lap in Australia at Sydney. But that also sped the car up quite considerably back here in GT racing. So we ended up in GT1. Find it hard to compete with the real big boys that run in that class. So we'd consider ourselves one of the quickest chassis, standard chassis type cars, not a Trans Am or a production type race car. And then the endurance thing came along, and we're like, well, let's have a go, let's have a crack at that. And so the boys put a lot of effort in, and we've had to put a fuel system in that will take fuel in a stop, and make some more changes. The hardest part with the car is it gets incredibly hot. Okay. So we are seeing cabin temperatures of 60 plus degrees, and that's quite hard to take for an hour. So we put a cool suit system in, and on one of those endurance runs we had it fail. So that was actually a massive problem for me as a driver. Sitting in there for an hour at 60 degrees, I felt pretty unwell afterwards.
Yeah, far out, I can imagine. One of my questions was going to be, did you have any worries over the engine lasting when you entered into that endurance series? But I guess that was more of a driver question rather than if you can handle those temperatures, because, like you say, that's pretty hard going.
It was. Yeah, no, it wasn't much fun. And obviously with a cool suit that fails, it makes it even worse. You're actually wearing an extra layer of clothing which has hot water in it, and it's just very uncomfortable. After 20 minutes, I was begging to get out of the car, and for the last 20 minutes, I don't really remember much of it. So, the car's perfect, and the car can do it all day. So we're just concentrating on making that cool suit system bulletproof and getting some more air into the car and getting some airflow. Obviously, for time attack, we sealed it all up because we don't want any air going in and causing any drag. But the endurance thing is another, and it's another thing to have a go at. And that car has been so versatile. It's done time attack, led for Waimate street race. We went down and we've had a couple of cracks at that and finished in the top 5 every time. So it's a really versatile bit of gear.
Yeah, it is. It's pretty special that you can do all those events, and of course what is such a good looking car as well. Yep. Do you have any involvement in that livery? Because we love it. No, it's always been, the black with the lime green's always been the colours that we wanted to run, and have been really lucky to have some clever people involved in helping me with liveries, Dave Higgins and Jason Gibbs. So I just got to give them what we need, and obviously the Link sponsorship is number one, so that goes on there first, and we just make the rest of it work around it. But I think the car looks really good. Yeah, it does. It looks awesome, and I don't want to, embarrass you, but it's pretty renowned worldwide now, especially in the rotary scene. What do you think of that following that you've developed? I mean, your videos online are getting massive amounts of views. Yeah, they do, and it's cool. I think it's a lot to do with the sound of the car. And obviously it's a flamethrower as well. People love that sort of stuff.
And I guess the amount of events we try and get to, and the difference in things that we do, I think that's attractive to people as well. So yeah, I don't know why it gets a following, but it's pretty cool. I don't complain.
Yeah, I guess I'm probably one of your followers. The videos are awesome to watch, and so clearly you have a bit of a rotary. Would you go as far as saying it's an obsession? Yeah. I've had a rotary since I was 17. I've always had at least one in the garage, and lucky enough to have owned some really cool ones, and then got bitten by the circuit racing bug when I was sort of early 20s. Did a little bit of stuff, and then had the family and sort of got out of it for a while, and then it's back into it. So what is it that brings on this obsession? What is it about a rotary that you love? I don't know. I think it's the giant killer thing. It's the underdog status. They make a cool sound, but they're a nice, light, little, nimble car. And if you haven't got the grunt, you can be later breaker, or you can be pushing them in the corners. And that's, I guess I like that whole side of it. Yeah, fair enough. Do you have any other projects there at home that you're willing to share any details with us? Oh man, yeah, I've got way too many to be honest. If you follow the page, you'll have seen what's going on, but we've got an RX3 coupe that we're building, which is going to be a pretty cool project. So we're going to go paddle shifted, sequential gearbox, naturally aspirated, nice and light. All the little trick bits we can do with the link, so flat shifting, auto blip, it'll be fly-by-wire throttle, all the cool stuff that we've wanted to do on the FD, but that car's developed as far as we're going to push it now, and we'll just concentrate on another project. So that's in the pipeline hopefully for next year. And I'm also part ownership in a sports car that ran in the Camel Light series in the 80s and early 90s in America. Was the only one that ran a 3-rotor engine. It's a 700 kilo proper prototype sports car. So we've just been picking away at that slowly, and hopefully we'll get that up and running next year as well. Wow, I'm looking forward to seeing them, of course everyone else is as well. Do you have a time frame for the RX3 in particular? It's a hard one because on the Green Brothers have been doing some work on it. They're super busy as always. We haven't given ourselves a time frame for it, so we're sort of hoping by summer next year, 2021, would like to roll it out and go and do some events in it. GT racing, sort of whatever comes up, and get it out there, and the sports car project, we'll just have to see how that one goes, but it will see the light of day, definitely. It's just going to take some time. And you'll drive both of them? That's the plan? Absolutely. Nice. That's the plan. You're lucky enough that, like us here at Link headquarters, you're in New Zealand in this little COVID-free bubble at the moment. So lockdown is over here, and you've been back out on track testing recently at Taupo. We heard it was pretty cold. Do you want to tell us a bit about what it was like to get back on track after a few months off? Yeah, so the last event we did was Leadfoot, and that feels like a long time ago. And I guess, we're lucky in New Zealand that we're looking forward to a racing summer. We know we've got some events coming up, and it's time to get the car out of the shed. And so we managed to get the old thing out down to a test day at Taupo, and it was freezing. Like, I'm sure it said it was like 6 degrees, but it felt like -6 because the wind was coming off the hills. So it was weird getting back in the car, to be honest, because Leadfoot's not a fast track. You don't get up to too much speed. So jump back in the car and remember that the thing's got 500 plus horsepower. It really does get your attention. So it was great. It was really good to blow the cobwebs out. And we've been trying that auto blip on the downshift setup for me, because I've always struggled with I had a knee injury when I was in my late 20s, so I've always struggled on the brake pedal, and obviously with the data that the boys can see, they're always giving me a hard time about losing brake pressure on downshifts, and could obviously be a lot better in that area. So I just said to them, look, let's set the car up around me, let's not try and work out what's my problem, let's make the car work for me, which has been, it's been on the cards for ages, and the boys have finally got it up and running, and man, what a difference. So I can just stay on the brake pedal, and as soon as you go for the gear stick,
the computer takes over and does the blip on the throttle for you. And I'm still using the clutch on the downshift, so the whole thing has to work in sync. And out the gate, the thing was really good. So a little bit of fine tuning and unbelievable. So that was a really cool thing to get done. And that was pretty much our test day point, was getting that up and running, and it worked flawlessly.
That is really cool. And I know that, so you have a cable throttle, correct?
Yes,
not
so we don't
e-throttle
run. No, we didn't. And the car's never been set up for e-throttle. So to set e-throttle in the car now would be a massive palaver to pull the whole thing apart and try and get it to work with the throttle bodies we run and stuff like that. So the boys have used a solenoid on the actual throttle itself. So it's, and it, you're talking microseconds. And, I'm not the smoothest of drivers, so give it the old karate chop on the way down the gearbox, and it works perfectly. So a credit to the boys and a credit to the Link, because it actually does it incredibly well for a rudimentary sort of system,
Yeah, and the Green Brothers, we know that they are experts in setting up features like this. Is there anything else that they've done to your car over the years using that Link Thunder that has made a huge difference for you on track?
Yeah, I mean, when we went to World Time Attack the second and third years, we were allowed to run nitrous. So obviously to try and keep up with the turbo-powered stuff, but the sound of the engine was critical for us. And that really did give Richard a few grey hairs, trying to make the car do an entire lap on nitrous. So it wasn't just push to pass or in fifth gear or sixth gear. It was the entire lap was running a bottle of nitrous. So he managed to do that in conjunction with the Link, and we went from 500 plus horsepower to nearly 700 for an entire lap, and made the engine survive the whole experience. So again, a massive credit to that guy. He's very clever at what he does, and not many people would even probably attempt something stupid like that. But not only did we do it, we actually managed to make it, but it actually worked incredibly well. So, it's just another feather in Richard's cap, because I don't think anyone else could probably claim that they've done an entire lap on nitrous. So it used a whole bottle in a lap. And we're not talking a small bottle, we're talking like a dive tank bottle sized of nitrous a lap.
And what was the difference in lap time between running that nitrous and not?
It's about 3 seconds a lap. So it was well worth it. I never got that perfect lap at Sydney. I was really disappointed, because the pressure comes on. You get three laps in a weekend to do your thing, and I got one reasonably good one, but not the perfect one. So I'd like to have done better there, but maybe one day we'll be able to go back there and give it another good lash, because we've learned a lot since then, and I think we've improved the car as well. So I think that if we went back there with the same sort of thing, we could definitely have a good go at it.
Yeah, it'd definitely be great to see you back there. Are there any other events worldwide that you aspire to attending? Yeah,
there's the Time Attack up in Tsukuba in Japan. That's like the birthplace of World Time Attack. It's I think it's where it all started. So it's a very short track. It's just under a minute if you're quick. Yeah. So that would be cool. And obviously Bathurst. There has been talk of a rotary only event at Bathurst next year being organised. So if we can get a Kiwi crew together and take a bunch of cars over there, man, that's bucket list stuff. I've driven at Phillip Island, I've driven at Sydney Motorsport Park, but Bathurst would be I could retire right there. I think I'd take that and retire.
It's iconic. I don't know a car racer can retire until they've driven a lap of Bathurst, I guess.
Yeah, that's right. I agree.
So speaking of those rotary only events, you've got one coming up in a couple of weeks at Taupo. Do you want to tell us a bit about that?
Yeah, so it's actually the 30th of August at Hampton Downs. It's called King of the Rotaries, and it's a really clever event organised by the New Zealand Rotary Racing Enthusiasts Club, which is a mouthful, but they're putting on this amazing event, and they've invited all of the guys in New Zealand who run rotary race cars to come out and bring their stuff out and have a go. So it's actually turned out really good. I think they're going to end up with about 30 cars on track and a whole bunch of different stuff. And there's some real fast guys turning up. So Cam Jones and Brian Gray and a few other boys as well with some real fast gear. Hopefully we'll come out and we'll have some fun.
Yeah, so it's actually a race.
Oh, absolutely. Cool. Yeah, it's all in one day, so it's going to be tough. And yeah, we'd love to see everyone out there, and it's free spectator entry. So if anyone wants to come along,
wow.
yep, it's just a clubman's day, but they've organised this event as part of it, and it sort of harks back to the old days of the Mazda Rotary Club. They used to do 2 events a year, one at Manfield, one at Taupo, and they'd get massive fields of these rotaries turn up, and obviously it's a little tougher these days, but if you've got a car like that and you can set it up for one event and come and have a play with everyone, then it just makes for a lot of fun.
Why not? Yeah. At those events, this might be a hard question, but at those events, is there any other cars that you eye up and think, oh, I wish I still had one of them, or I wish I had that car?
No, not really. No, I think
you're living the dream then.
I'm living the dream. I always wanted to have an FD with a 20B in it. So that was always. I saw Mark Porter's car ran back in the late 90s, I think it was, and idolised that car. That was just the pinnacle for me. And now we've built it and we're using it, and there's lots of cool stuff out there. Brian Gray's got a 4-rotor in his car, which sounds amazing. And there's some cool stuff out there. But I think that what we've built it's definitely my dream car.
Yeah, that's awesome, and it's us here at Link really appreciate having you on board, and of course using our ECUs to the maximum of their potential alongside Green Brothers. So thanks very much for that, and thank you for your time today. It's been awesome to catch up, find out a bit more about that car, and we wish you all the best of luck in those upcoming events.
Cool, thanks Avalon, it's been a pleasure.
Thank you.